Hi, welcome to the Neighborhood News Show. This is Tuesday, and we're back again for one more show. And I have a guest today here with me. We have no announcements this week, so we're going to go straight to Mr. Godet. He's the president from the Maplewood Neighborhood Association. Welcome, Mr. Godet.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And everybody knows that I'm the president from the Flint Neighborhood Association. And after I live on the Flint for 15 years, I moved to Maplewood. So now you the president of my neighborhood association.
Yes.
So, but we kind of work together. And all different projects and stuff. Mr. Godet, how long are you in charge of the Maplewood?
Well, probably for about 2.5 years, about 30 months, I've been the president of the Maplewood Association. We had a previous organization, and the membership didn't feel that it was moving in the direction that we were interested in. And like many of the neighborhood associations, it's very hard to get the people to attend. And usually at the meetings we'd have, once a month we'd have 6 or 7 or 8 people. That's about all we'd have. And they didn't seem to have the interest, so that we've been very successful, and we show more interest.
And I don't know what you're doing, but you're doing something right. I don't know if it's the bagels, but I don't know if it's the bagels or it's the pizza or the coffee, but I attend the meetings, and it's a good group of neighbors there.
Yeah, as we say at our meetings, we have anywhere from 50 to 150 people at each and every meeting. Usually we run 80, 85, 75 people at a meeting, which is a substantial group of people to have them coming out in a month. And as you notice, you've been to our meetings, many times it's different people.
Yes.
They're neighborhood people, but they're different people who come for different reasons. So,
I mean, you do something that probably you are the only one, the only neighborhood that does that, and knock on people's door to let them know about the meeting. So, and that will be something interesting, me knocking on people's door, not asking for votes, but asking for people to come down to a meeting. And you, it's pretty, they attend, right?
Yeah, we started out, Ron Savigny, and he's one of the vice presidents along with Eddie Bro, and we started out with distributing 300 flyers through the neighborhoods to let them know what was going on and what issues that we had. We haven't been that successful with the flyers. We find that you've been at the meetings when I ask how many people are here because they received a flyer at their door, and there might be 8 or 9 or 10 people here. And usually what the flyers, they remind people that we're having a meeting. I've been very successful since the Herald News has been making the announcements. They've been very good to us. And with the Herald News, if we miss an announcement or are late, we're getting phone calls. They're having a meeting. So people do look at the newspaper, and they are aware. And they watch Channel 95, which they also announce that we're having meetings. And the government announces the meetings. So that many people are aware of the meetings. Some people forget. But the attendance is great, and good speakers. I might add that we're going to meet on the 20th, and at our meeting we're going to have John Fryer, who's from the Water Department, and he's going to speak. And then we're going to have a representative from the Social Services, and he's going to be speaking on the benefits and Social Security and what we can get. So we have 2 good speakers, and the speakers usually speak for about 20 minutes, and then we follow the social hour, which is good. Our meetings start at 6:30, and at 8 o'clock we're leaving the building. So.
I saw you for years being involved in, like we mentioned a couple of times on the show, that I started by the hands of Katia Sard, that she was the president of the neighborhood back then. I'm talking about 20 years ago. And I gotten involved when Mr. Mitchell was the mayor.
Yeah.
So you see how many mayors we changed since then, and we've been involved since then.
Yeah.
And I remember you at the round table meetings
Right.
there. Do you see any change on the neighborhoods since that time that we started the round tables with the mayors?
Well, one of the reasons that we are successful in the Maplewood neighborhood is because we like to keep the integrity of the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And I hear many people talking about change. Change is not always good. Mm-hmm. Change can be bad for a neighborhood. The majority of the people from Maplewood, they've lived there for 2 or 3 generations. My family's been in Maplewood perhaps for 9 or 10 generations, never left the mm-hmm. Ames Street, Lawton Street, Dickerson Street area. So that we'd like to maintain it. One of the things we're fighting constantly is to keep the developers out who are in there to split up the lots and put in these little postage stamp lots. And they're trying to put houses on 3,000 or 4,000 feet. And once again, I say that you don't see the residents actually involved. You'll see their children who want to sell off the property and make a profit. You'll see out-of-town lawyers and out-of-town developers. Mm-hmm. These people try to come into the neighborhoods. They've ruined many neighborhoods, and we will not allow them to ruin Maplewood. The Zoning Board of Appeals has been very good to us. When we go down there, sometime we'll bring down 18 to 20 people at the Zoning Board of Appeals to oppose something that we feel is bad for the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And usually the Zoning Board of Appeals will go along with us. Mm-hmm. And as long as we do this, we're going to protect our neighborhood and keep it like it is. We're not looking for change. Mm-hmm. We like Maplewood the way it is, and we like to keep it that way.
And you think with the years, some problems got better on Maplewood?
I haven't seen that many changes in Maplewood. One thing that I feel we made a large mistake is when they built these large schools. Mm-hmm. We were much better when we had Laternal School, we had the Laurel Lake School, we had the neighborhood schools, we had the Watson School and the Wixon School. Now they've turned around and they put in these schools where they have hundreds and hundreds of students, and that is not in the best interest of the neighborhood. And I predict that they'll go back to the smaller schools eventually.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know about that. I mean, I know for a fact that on the Flint, we do have a bigger school that's Fonseca, and all the small schools are closing down. But we still have the one on Eastern Avenue, Hudson,
right.
believe. But the future of that school, it's been closing pretty soon. In a couple of years, the school is going to be closing again because the building is falling apart. Mm-hmm. So for years, it's not people not being maintained and painting and all of that, and the building gets old and eventually become a safety problem.
Well, we've seen. I guess I actually became involved in the Maplewood neighborhood in the southern part of the city in the early 1950s, which is going back a long time, mm-hmm. when they wanted to be rezoned Maplewood. At that time, they really didn't have any zoning, and we went in and there were many areas where we considered to have single-family homes. We had our industrials, and we did have quite a few existing factories working at that time. Since then, the mills have burnt down and they've been destroyed and gone away to East Stevens Street. But Maplewood is a beautiful area. It has everything that you need. It has stores, it has churches, it has repair shops, anything that you actually need to find, you can find in Maplewood. It's mm-hmm. there. There's no reason to leave. Sometimes I don't leave Maplewood except to go down to City Hall. Sometimes I don't leave for 3 or 4 days. I stay right in Maplewood.
And the Flint, I feel the same way. I mean, just Pleasant Street alone, we have all the shops and we find anything that we want to buy. Mm-hmm. And again, we have a post office and we have banks and we have a library. So we do have pretty much everything. And mm-hmm. I've been calling Pleasant Street a mall without ceilings for many, many years because that's really what it is. But I believe that you hold office at some time, right?
Oh, political office?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess that I ran and I was elected to the city council in 1965, and I served in the city council until, I guess, 1990, 1991. I ran for mayor in 1971. And when you mentioned Mitchell, it was Nick Mitchell and it was John Mitchell. We've had two Mitchells that were mayors, and at that time Nick Mitchell was the mayor. And I lost the primary by a few hundred votes, and I ran as a write-in candidate. Mayor Mitchell was elected with 12,000 votes, but I received somewhere there 7,000 write-ins in a terrible rainy day. And at that time I had quit politics. I mean, I had things I wanted to do, and I was going to devote my time. But then I came back in 1973. I ran for city council, and the people still liked me. I topped the ballot in and the next year I ran for county commissioner, and I held the two positions for 16 years. And at the same time, I was on the Bristol County Agricultural School Board. So I was very busy in those years.
And you did had a chair as the city council.
Yes. Yeah.
So you were both sides of the fence. Now you're in the neighborhood, but you had sit on the other side of the fence as a city council. And how much impact can have a city council on neighborhoods?
Well, I think that the city councilors, John Mitchell, I served with John Medeiros, and he was a very, very dedicated city councilor, more conservative than most city councilors. And I think he had a large impact. We have City Councilor Pelletier, who was from the Maplewood area. He's there. Pat Casey. I think the city councilors, I sort of like the idea of having the councilors elected at large, where if we're going to go into the changing of the charter and have a city councilor from each ward, I think that maybe it wouldn't be in the best interest of the city, that they'll be more interested in only what happens to them. And being in politics, see, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. There's a lot of things that happen that you don't ask for.
Yes.
I mean, you give me what I want this time, and maybe when you want something, I'll be there to do it for you.
Yes.
So that's why I don't think it's in the best interest to have the other types of the councilors.
I mean, I can see myself on that position too, and not serving the city as a politic person, but sometimes we need stuff. And we need help and some problems on the neighborhoods, and we turn to people that then it's like we need to pay them back, and they come back to us for a favor. And it happens even when you're not sitting in any position on the city.
Well, that's the way it is. And actually, if you have an elected official that is good to you and good to your neighborhood, I think when it's time that he's running for re-election, you remember that, and you should be good to him also, or her.
Exactly.
It's a two-way street.
Yes. Coming back to Maplewoods, do you having any issues now, any problems that you thinking that needs urgence and be resolved?
We have a problem with the Laternal School. And one thing is that if you go on Stafford Road about 2:30, 3 o'clock, the traffic is backed up for 3, 4, or 5 blocks. The students are coming out. The sidewalk director will stop all the automobiles and let 2 students go by. Then if 2 or 3 automobiles are moving, he'll stop and let 2 more go by. We try to work with the mall, and the people who own the mall gave us permission to put a gate. Originally, when they had the original Laternal, behind Kmart, the people used to park behind Kmart, and they'd take their students and their children there and then leave through the Kmart exits. For some reason, when they developed the new Laternal, they put probably an 8 or 10-foot wall there. Would have been better if they parked the automobiles underneath the building instead of the wall. But every time we try to do something, we run into problems with the people in the school department. With people in the school department, for some reason, will look for one excuse or another, saying that you're letting the children go into private property. Well, what difference does it make if the children are going to go through the mall, or if they're going to go out onto Anthony Street or Stafford Road. So there's a traffic congestion, there's accidents that happen there, there's people parking on the overpass. That's one of the problems that we'd like to see resolved.
I know exactly what you're talking about because my youngest daughter, both of them attended Lutheran school, and it was a problem just to find a park to pick them up in school.
Right.
And at the time, I have asked a couple people at City Hall what we could do to resolve the problem. The ideas came to the table, what to do, but we never got anything done.
No.
And it's a very easy problem to resolve on that school particularly, because they have entries, two different entries to the school, and if you come by the school using the Lutheran school, the Anthony Street, you can leave by the street right over. So that you're creating one-way traffic.
Yeah, they can leave by Lawton Street, they can go to Ames Street, they can go down to Cowell Street. However, if they just opened the gate in the northwest corner of the parking lot, where it's even with the ground, they could put a gate there, and the students who are getting into the automobiles could go right down behind Walmart and come out. And I say the mall has given us permission, and all we had to do is to open up that fence and put a gate there. But we run into problems from the people who are in the building department and with the Latino school. And it is definitely a problem in that neighborhood. Of course, any place, if you go into Slade Street and look what they did there, there's no parking there. They put the whole school on one block, and they don't have any parking either.
Yes, I mean that's what's happening right now with all these new schools is they build these huge schools, but it's no parking, and they take the whole block. So automatically, all the 4 streets around the school is going to be full of traffic, especially for 45 minutes when it's the kids getting into school and the times the kids get out of school. And must be a nightmare for people that live around the schools just to get inside their property and to leave their property.
Well, a couple of years ago, there was a student hurt at Latino School, and the ambulance couldn't get in. It was impossible to get in because Anthony Street was blocked with the vehicles, so that they had to come in by walking in with a stretcher to get the student that got hurt there because they can't get in.
So right there shows that something needs to be done, and until somebody gets hurt, nothing's going to move. Well, that's what it seems like.
Well, the mayor is going along with us. He'll work with us. And we had Perry Long. Perry Long met with Ron Savigny and myself, and we met with Bob, who runs the mall, and we met at his office, and we came around. And as I say, they gave us permission. All they have to do is it's the French in me, I talk with my hands, right?
Yeah.
All they have to do is go up into the northwest corner and put a gate, and the children can go right down there into the parking lot, and it's asphalted parking lot, and you take at least 50 or 75% of the traffic off the streets. And
yeah, I mean, again, the mayor is doing a good job. I cannot say that he's not. But what I think is after he sees the problem and he needs to try harder to convince these people, to resolve the problem. I cannot have this done. Give me options. Give me to resolve this problem. How can I resolve this problem? And that's where we end up stuck, is when we approach the mayor and he's automatic with us, he understands the problem, he behind us. But the thing is, we get into a point that his word means nothing.
Well, we talked to the superintendent that works the buildings, and it's Tommy Coogan, and we explained to him, and he found one reason or another. They parking there, there's no one to take them there, they're going into private property, and all we ran into was obstacles. And I say that there's no reason for it. All they have to do is just put a gate there and let the students go out. Instead of walking up to Anthony Street They go out to the
And
back.
even if it's not the answer, you cannot say that's not working until you try it. So that's that's the best thing we can come up with. Let's try it.
Right.
If works, fine. If doesn't work, we go back. We go back. But so we talked about the problem that you had there, and let's talk now about something that you had done. Finally.
You know, one thing is that with the neighborhood cleanups, and we've been very successful working with Rosemary LaPointe and cleaning up the Cook Pond area. We've been very successful with the police department. The first time, I guess about 2 years ago, when I became president, we went in and cleaned up what is called Cuss Boat Landing on Cook Pond. And the roll-offs, the big trucks like they're 30 or 40 feet, we took 3 of those out of that area where people were using public land as their own private dumps. Since then, I guess that we have captured some of the people have been caught doing it, and I've talked to the police department, and they say they get a $300 fine. Much better if they go to court and just have it suspended or forgotten about. So that now we have the dumpsters going into the neighborhoods. And I was very disappointed when weekend before last, we had a dumpster over on Dwelly Street for neighborhood use. I went to the dumpster at 5 minutes past 9 Saturday morning, and the dumpster was full, loaded, and the trucks were there. This was for neighborhood people to come in to dispose of their bulky area and items. There was one truck there with 4 men. It was one of those large pickup trucks where you can sit 4 people, dumping into the dumpster. That was not there. These people should have gone down to the city barn and paid to get rid of their trash.
Exactly.
So that now, I'm going to bring it up at the next meeting that we have at the round table with the mayor. We have to have a police officer, or we have to have someone who is a constable, someone to check the residents, and this is for Maplewood residents. Someone else came in, and I went over and I was talking to Helen Rigo at the same time up at Pulaski Park, and I said, your dumpster's full. She said, well, one truck came in 3 times, right?
Yeah.
And then another truck came in, and she's outgoing. She doesn't stay behind the scenes.
Yes.
So we went over and we talked to the fellow. He said, I'm cleaning up all my neighborhood. Well, I don't really know if that's true or not. I can't say.
Yes.
Then another truck came in, and they were dumping a lot of furniture. Well, the furniture came from the north end, where they came from. And so that, once again, we have to control that, because when the neighborhood people finally came down to try to put their trash in, that dumpster was packed 4 feet higher. And they had to send another dumpster in to take the excess trash off so they could move it.
What that tells me is, I think it's a need of probably a certain hour for people to bring stuff into the city, because if it's that much trash out there that's not coming down, it's because something is stopped them from doing it.
Yeah.
If believe it or not, $20 is $20 today.
Yeah.
You know, so probably if it's a need, and I will be there at the meeting, and probably what we could bring to the mayor is, let's give 1 day a month where these people can dump this stuff, because if they don't dump on the city, they're going to be ending dumping on our neighborhoods.
Oh, I went
everywhere.
I went behind about a week or 2 ago. I always go through the mall, and I take my shortcut there. And someone put 3 TVs behind Kmart. I go to the Sovereign Bank a couple of times a week, and I was going around by the Staples, and they had their dumpsters out in the back there, and I see this beautiful car from Rhode Island come in, nice looking lady driving it, well dressed. Gentleman get out of the front seat with his suit and his tie and take his bags of trash and throw it into the dumpsters behind Staples, right? So that at the same time I read in the newspaper where Tiverton has cut their trash down to half. since they pay for it. Well, where do you think the other half is going?
Exactly,
You know.
exactly. I mean, but again, and this will be for Fall River residents.
Right.
If you want to dump, if you're doing construction on your house, you're rebuilding a room, you have sheetrock, you have wood to dump. During this month will be open this day from this time to this time that you can come in and dump it, because this will be helping neighborhoods.
That's what it's for.
Exactly.
It's for the neighborhood residents. It's not for the contractors.
Exactly, exactly. So, but definitely the neighborhoods is been having a lot of important stuff. Been doing a lot of important stuff around the city, and the cleanups is a big difference.
You know, June the 9th into Maplewood, there's going to be a dumpster in Maplewood Park. And I'm saying that for the residents of Maplewood. That's for your use. That is not for the contractors to come in. When you're parking on Dwelly Street, there's no reason to actually keep track of it. And maybe one of the neighborhood leaders could be made a constable or a deputy or something to the effect where we have the right to ask these people come in to say, let me see your driver's license. Are you a resident? And get control. A couple of items. It's not the fact that someone's coming in and putting truckloads of trash in a dumpster. Truckloads of trash should go down to well, we call it the incinerator, but down to the city barn.
Yes.
And you should pay for it like anyone else. And the dumpsters that are put in the neighborhoods are put in there for the neighborhood residents, not for the trash collectors.
And we have a few minutes, but I still want to ask you about this, about dogs.
About the what?
About the dogs. Do you have a lot of problems on your neighborhoods about people not walking dogs, not picking up after them and stuff?
If you go into Spencer Street and Dickinson Street, it's like an island, because on one side you have the cemetery, on the other side you have the pits, and people walk there, but we have no problems, and I see people walking their dogs all the time, and we don't have a problem. Now, maybe the people going to the parks, right? I have a dog. I have a problem. Every once in a while I go in my yard and I'm stepping in it from my own dog. Yeah, he goes out at night and he stays on my property, and I want him there.
Yes, we walk not just our dogs, but we walk our neighbors' dogs too. And we always pick up after them. But on the Flint, we do have a couple of spots that we having big problems with the with dogs. But now, if you get caught, it's $200, right?
Yeah,
They
that's the
just
fine,
voted
yes.
a couple of weeks ago,
Right.
$200. Mr. Gaudette, we have a couple minutes. Do you want to mention anything?
Well,
Did I forgot anything?
Well, no, but when you mention dogs, I would say that at least 50% of the people who live in the Maplewood area in the single-family homes own dogs. Sometimes when we're going door to door with our pamphlets, you go from house to house and you get barking at just about every house. People have the dogs in their house. But there's no problem because Maplewood is not congested. And that's why we're trying to keep it like it is. We want to maintain it, maintain the integrity, and keep neighborhood like it is.
Very good, Mr. Gaudette. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
And it's the end of one more neighborhood news, and we will come back next week again. And John will be next to me. This week he wants to stay doing some homework behind the cameras, but we will be back next week. Until then, thank you.